Namaste. All right. So let's talk about exercises 8 and 9. So we're going to be looking at dredge the sea, measure the sky, and wind, thunder, and rain. So in our classic set of Fire Flower Qi Gong, we typically have the 8 exercises. And over the years, that's undergone a couple adaptations and different iterations. And so when I first learned the set, our final exercise, exercise 8, was wind, thunder, and rain. And then my teacher over time discovered that it's kind of challenging for certain folks around balance, around the deep stance, ankle and knee issues, things like that. So over time, he adapted a different exercise called dredge the sea, measure the sky. And both of these exercises kind of focus around the same idea, and the idea is a cool down from the set. So as you begin, you kind of warm up with pushing the sky. It escalates with the archer, arcing forward directions, looking behind, head and body swinging. You're kind of up on this plateau, twisting, starts to warm down, body bending, and then we close with in the first set that I learned back in the early the 90s was wind, thunder, and rain. And then maybe about 10 years ago, we switched to dredge the sea, measure the sky. And that final exercise is kind of all about this cool down, not only for the body, but also this final calibration of energy and this idea of connecting with yin and yang. So divine feminine and divine masculine energy, and circulating that energy through the body. So each one, though the moves look a little different, energetically they have about the same benefit. And then over the last little while, I've kind of brought wind, thunder, rain back. It's one of my favorite exercises. So now I do the 9 exercises. When I'm teaching class, we finish with dredge the sea, measure the sky as our final exercise. But with a lot of my students and with my personal practice, I do the 9 exercises. So why not, right? It's all good. So with dredge the sea, measure the sky, it's this idea of dipping into the bottom of the ocean, or really into this divine feminine energy, this yin, earth, nurturing, foundational qi. And one of the things that we do is we end up crossing the wrists. And a lot of things we've done throughout the set is helping to realign and balance our energy body, both through the chakras and through the acupressure channels. So with this exercise, dredge the sea, measure the sky, it allows us to kind of intersect the channels on the right and left side, and through the fingers, through the wrists. So we're scooping down into the ocean, the ocean floor, and once we dive into the floor, we kind of create like a spade, or we flex the wrists, and that helps us to again, realign energetically and gather yin energy. But I think about it like all the buried treasure at the bottom of the ocean floor, all the microorganisms, all the life, right? All that silt and richness. So we spend a few moments there, and we align the body diagonally. And I'll go into those details when I get up and start moving with you. So we start with that, and then we open up, and when we open up, we're going to bring the elbows out, thumbs down, and really splay the fingers. Stay nice and rounded, relaxing the shoulders, and nice and rounded the arms, nice opening, and we're creating a frame. And then we bring that up, and I think about like solar panels. So collecting energy from the sun, right? Heavenly qi. And so nice and open, and then we're gathering yang energy, and then we come back down, and as we come down, the palms rotate, and we cross the wrists once again, this time palms facing up, and so kind of bringing that yin and yang energy together, and then we bring it up through the body, out to the sides and pour it down through the body. Lift Qi up, pour Qi down, or Qi cleansing. So it's like this final wash, this final balancing of Yin and Yang energies in the body, allowing the body to kind of get this cooling down effect from our exercises. And back to the beginning of the move, when we make our turn, once again, we're lining the acupressure channels in the back of the hands, the backs of the fingers. And then we wind up the hands, winding up the Qi. We're coming from the belly up the center line and opening up with the palms facing up. And then we tuck the thumbs to the side of the palms, helps to engage the energy in the hands. And then it's like you're pulling energy into the heart chakra, or what we call the high chamber, just below the armpit, about a hand's length down, right along the rib cage. So we're winding up this energy, gathering the energy and pulling into the heart, connecting the energy of human love, of divine love, and then again we go down and thrust into the ocean. Gather yin chi, we open up nice and round, create our frame, and then we bend the forward knee and get a stretch in the back. We measure the sky, and we call in this heavenly yang energy, and then we relax, we bend, and then we bring all that energy up and through the body. So a similar effect happens with wind, thunder, and rain. And again, it's this cool down, and then also it's this final calibration of yin and yang. And so with wind, thunder, and rain, the movement's a little bit different. So we're going into a double deep knee bend, almost like a squat to one side. And when we go to the one side, we're going to cross the wrists. So again, crossing the energy channels from right to left, allowing the energy to circulate into balance. And then when we open up, we're scooping up earth chi from the sides, bring it up the head, above the head, clap the hands, and that helps to like a tuning fork, like hitting an instrument, like a bell or a gong. So that's the thunder, right? Wind, thunder, and then we turn, and rain. So we, up at the top, we're calling yang, heavenly chi into the hands, and then we bring that back down. Cross the wrists, and then we gather, lift, clap, turn, and come down. And then our last turn, we come to the front, and we're in a squat, and then we're going to do one more, lift chi up, pour chi down, and again, kind of getting the same kind of final calibration, energy balance in the body with the yin and yang, and really opening ourselves up. One thing that I really like about wind, thunder, and rain, all of what we're doing, and it's achieved in its, each exercise in its own way, but we're taking ourselves through a full range of body movement, and really, in terms of our average body movement in today's society, is a lot more reduced than what would have been, historically as a species. So one of the things that we ought to be able to do is squat, to be able to go deep, and we get that in body bending when we go to one side to the other, but we open up the stance, open up the legs as nice and wide. So when we do wind, thunder, and rain, we're bringing that more to the natural hip width or so, shoulder width, and we're keeping that movement within that tighter range. And so, all of these exercises help us to move outside of our normal range of body movement and really maximize all of our natural ambulation. Opening up the joints and lubricating the joints and helping the body, also our myofascia, which we're more and more understanding these microtubules. It's like an internal hydraulic system that helps to actually move energy in the body, not only through the muscles, where we think about how we gather strength and how we use our body, but this webbing that is all under our skin and interlaces through our tendons and ligaments and muscles and connects with bone and into our internal organs, this webbing is a lot of how energy moves in the body. So when we go through all these body movements, we're getting this nice return to normal, healthy myofascial connection. And it's almost like, like if you think about socks, it's like this webbing, like a fabric, and it's interwoven and it stretches in different ways. And what happens is if we stop moving, or we have injury or different things like that, we have tension points, pain points. A lot of times that might be myofascial related, where that webbing, instead of being able to stretch elastically and return, it gets bunched up, or it gets like glued together. And so instead of gliding evenly, it's different layers too. So instead of gliding evenly over muscles and nerves and all that stuff, it gets bunched up, and then that becomes painful, and it also reduces our body movement, our ability to mobilize the body. So kind of going back into this idea of this full range of body movement, and all these different stretches we're doing, it's helping to stretch and refine and strengthen our myofascial connection, and then decreases pain, decreases buildup of tension in the body. That could also pull us out of skeletal alignment, all kinds of things it affects. So when I think about this, this process, and one of the things that we ought to be able to do is go into that deep squat. And just by doing it, even if it's minimal in the beginning and eventually we get deeper and deeper, the idea is that it's actually helping to restore and calibrate our natural health. So that's we'll cover more details as I go through the exercises, but that's kind of the gist of the closing sets. So so these days I like to do all 9. That's the way I like to do it. I feel best when I do it that way. And oh yeah, one more thing, and I think we talked about this in our Skype session, is with twisting. I'm sorry, with wind, thunder, and rain. Here we go. We get this spiraling motion, and one of the ways that energy moves through the body is spiraling, right? So up through the legs, up through the spine. So we get that in our twisting exercise. We get that in different ways. But in wind, thunder, and rain, we get this, like this compression and this spiraling movement and back down. So it helps to open up our energy that spirals. And then in terms of mobility, a lot of our movement tends to be linear, front and back, side to side. It's really helpful for the brain, for the body, for our health, to kind of cross over the center line and to be able to do complicated body movements. It helps with fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and all those kinds of things, but helps us wire our brain as well. So when we do this, start from one side, and we get this movement to the side with the arms, at the same time we're coming up and spinning, we get this rotational movement, and rotational movement is very good for the body. So all right, let's do some stuff.